I'm excited today to have George from NVISION here. He is the CEO and leader of an amazing digital marketing agency that has creative, innovative, and all kinds of different solutions for digital and web design for clients that are from startup to blue chip to international. And George has been working in everything digital for over 20 years, very passionate, a thought leader, I would call him myself, as well as a dear friend. So I'm very excited to have George here. Welcome, George. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me here, Lou. Appreciate it.
Very excited. So we have so many things to talk about today, but the main thing I'd like to sort of jump right into is around leadership. When we talk about the space that you're in, marketing, it is booming, right? It's so busy. Online platforms are where it's at. People are only communicating online, especially with having work from home. And there's, when we talk about retention, it must be very tough to hold on to good team members. But in your team, you have staff that have been here for over 10 years, quite a number of tenured individuals. When we look at stats from recent surveys, you've got, 19.8% of turnover in the digital marketing space. So my question to you, I guess, when we talk about, what do you do as a CEO and a leader of this amazing team? What strategies have you adopted to ensure that you're keeping your people, that you've got this amazing retention? What is it that you do?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's not singular. It's not one specific thing that's tactical. I think foundationally, what I do, which I've always been fond of humanity, like people. Like if you begin to realize that everybody has a unique background. Everybody comes from a unique space. So in knowing that you can't treat everybody the exact same way.
That's right.
So, when you look at things from a very humanistic approach and understand that people are complex. And yes, we come into organizations with the utmost excitement, staff who join us. We've gone through the interview process, all the things that, you and I have talked about, of like the sorts of questions to ask, ensure that they're a good cultural fit. But then when they actually arrive, you got to make sure that these aren't cogs and robots. These are human beings. So, one of the things I often say to my staff is you're going to have bad days. It's inevitable. Like there are days where you just can't produce, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So maybe it's, you got to decompress, take a step back. Obviously we got to compensate them accordingly. But truth be told, in the conversations I've had with numerous staff, it doesn't seem like compensation is the most important thing anymore. Really what people want, from my understanding, is they want to feel valued and appreciated. And if you can show that sort of value and appreciation for the types of work people are doing here, then that's a good starting point. And that's where we start, is appreciating and valuing the staff that are here.
Thank you. I cannot agree more when you mentioned that people want to feel valued and compensation. That's actually, so many studies have noted that people, when they quit, they don't quit because they want more money. The number one reason is because they quit their job because of their boss. They quit their boss effectively. So, speaks to real leadership within your organization to have such great retention, which is incredible. When you talk about sort of having that human approach, what is the leadership? What does that mean? What does the human approach to leadership mean? What kind of values is it that you live, breathe, act in that approach?
I think a lot of empathy has to be authentically showcased. So what I mean by that is, you have to appreciate that. Yes, I may be a founder or the CEO of this organization, but I can't have different rules for myself than my staff have for themselves. So meaning, I can't assume that I can work a 2-hour workday. That's not the way that I've been conditioned. And I expect my staff to put in a 16-hour workday. You know what I mean? So I try to play on an equal playing field as they are on. Meaning, if they are tasked to do something or been given a certain deliverable, it should be something that I can also facilitate in the same realistic time frame that I've given them. So I try to be very realistic and very transparent with what my expectations are, what I expect of them, but they would also have to be something that I can do. You know, so I think putting myself in their shoes. I mean, I've gone through this so often now with my staff, and we have such incredible transparency. I mean, our retention has been incredible. Like, we've had, you know, if people are going to leave because of money, it doesn't matter how much, like, if they're going to leave no matter what. They can't necessarily appreciate the value that you're providing them outside of compensation. Right. So there are numerous things that we can do to help facilitate, but I think empathy is the biggest one.
It's that emotional intelligence and tuning in when you need to. Absolutely.
Without question.
So you've always put a focus on supporting your individual team members and making sure that, you know, by supporting them, they create that success for your business. But how do you you put that into practice? When do you know when to invest in someone? You know, like you said, there's not a one size fits all. So, you know, how do we dial it up or down according to the team member and recognize that creative success as a result of it?
So I think the one thing you have to do as an organization is have an opportunity for everyone across the board that's equal. So one of the things that we implemented long ago were personal development Fridays, where all staff could take a Friday off to learn. It wasn't mandated. It was on a voluntary basis. So if there was something a developer or creative or digital marketer wanted to do, they can take a Friday off, no questions asked, and educate themselves. We've since evolved that to personal development days, where they can request as many days as they want for educational purposes. So that, again, that's across the board. Now, with respect to leadership and management, what they have to be keen on is understanding where their staff can use support or improvement if the appetite is there. So oftentimes with our teams and our management, part of our mandate as leaders is to bring opportunities to our staff as well, to say, hey, I feel this would be a good fit for you in your career trajectory. So when you and we worked on individual development plans, the IDPs, part of the IDP is actually you're starting to scrape the surface and understand what trajectory the staff want to take their careers in. Once you appreciate that and get to know your staff on a more intimate level, then you as a leader should be keen to say, you know what, I found something that I think would be a good fit for this individual. So you have to have equal opportunity for everybody. But I think sometimes when you see an opportunity as a leader, you have to be able to present that to that potential staff.
Yeah. It's about paying attention, right?
Of course.
It's about paying attention.
It's about paying attention.
And then you'll see that come back twofold, threefold, if you're supporting that investment and development is what you're really saying, which is fantastic. So, I mean, if you were to give advice to other business owners on how to take this human approach to leadership, what advice would you give them?
Well, you said it, pay attention, right? But, you know, part of the dilemma that I've seen time and time again with business owners is greed. Greed dilutes and distracts us from what truly matters. And that's bringing value to the people that we work with. The one thing I've never shied away from is, and as much as it's a hard conversation for most, is the fact that when you're working with a team, when you're growing an agency or a company like yours, you spend a lot of time with people that you work with. And I've said it so many times that in the early years, when the focus was growing my business, I would spend 8 to 10 hours a day with the people I work with. So guess what? I better enjoy them. Yeah. I better like who they are, because otherwise my life is going to be a miserable mess.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, I mean, obviously you have to be financially and fiscally responsible to grow a successful business. but the people are what drive that business, right? So the responsibility, you got to set financials aside and look at it from the human perspective and how you can add value. So that's what the biggest thing I would say to business owners is: set aside, if it's all you're after is money, the people aren't going to matter. And maybe there are successful businesses that operate that way, but I don't feel it's the right approach. I think you get a lot more out of your people when you treat them with respect and dignity, and you give them what they're looking for in terms of education, training, showing value, having fun. All that has to be part of the environment.
People want to work with the right people because it's a work family. And again, we spend more time at work than we do at home. I mean, now it's a virtual work environment, which makes it that much more difficult to stay connected and be part of that family. But it's still that they're doing work with those individuals. So important to really enjoy what we're doing, who we're doing it with, and do great things to sort of feel that sense of accomplishment as a team. And then continuing to build on that, individually in your career, because you only learn from those that you love to learn from, because you're not going to be open and receptive to building and learning different things if you don't really enjoy the people. So on that note, when we talk about sort of all the amazing things that you guys do here at NVISION, by having those digital solutions online is really where it's at when it comes to marketing, and also your humanistic approach to leadership. George, how is it that people can get in touch with you that are listening today?
Sure, yeah. I would say the one thing I want to add to this conversation, because it just is a really important aspect of the connection, is ask people how they're doing. Right? Like, I don't think there's anything that prevents any of us to ask somebody, how's your day going? And again, that creates that showcases that you genuinely do care. If you're asking it authentically, it does go beyond the walls of just a peer-to-peer relationship. Ask people how they're doing. I think especially nowadays, as you alluded to, with everything remote, it is really important, because a lot of people are alone. So ask how people are doing, and you'd be surprised. They'll open up. If you ask enough. So I think it's an important thing to
agreed
leave off on. So to get a hold of us, go to our website at nvision.co. Check us out on our social profiles /NVISION at Instagram, /NVISION Solutions on Facebook, and so on and so forth. And check out Lou and her services in the world of HR. She's amazing. She's been helping us for years and years, and I cherish our relationship as well.
Likewise.
So thank you for having me here
Thank
today.
you so much, George. It's a pleasure and always so insightful. And I hope everyone got some takeaways today, because I know I did, even in my role. We always learn. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.